The dark expanse of space stretched endlessly in every direction. Stars flickered like tiny sparks of fire, distant suns lighting the void. Among them, the alien warship Xeron moved silently, gliding through the emptiness with mechanical precision. The ship's hull shimmered faintly, reflecting the pale light of distant galaxies. Inside, the command deck was filled with movement. Aliens with sleek, scaled skin and long, delicate fingers worked at glowing consoles. Their eyes, large and unblinking, flicked across displays and holograms. Every action was calculated, exact, perfect. Captain Zyra, the leader of the Xeron, stood at the center of the deck. Tall and imposing, with a crown of ridges along her head. She observed the ship's instruments with sharp attention. Her species prided itself on intelligence and strategy, and she was the finest strategist of them all. They had explored countless systems, subdued numerous worlds, and believed no creature could challenge their dominance. Confidence hummed in the air like electricity. Then the sensors picked up a signal. It was faint at first, almost invisible against the background of cosmic noise, but it was unmistakable. The signal was not from any known ship or station in the galaxy. It was small, primitive even, yet moving with a purpose. "Captain," a crew member said, her voice smooth but tense. "An unidentified vessel has entered this sector. It is moving in patterns we cannot predict." Zyra's ridged brow furrowed. "Show me." The main display shifted, revealing a small human ship. Its design was simple, almost crude compared to the Xeron, but it moved with a speed and unpredictability that disturbed the crew. Unlike the rigid, calculated movements of alien vessels, the human ship darted, twisted, and spun, as if guided by instinct rather than logic. The crew murmured among themselves. "It cannot be. So small, so unarmored, moving like that." "Perhaps it is a scouting vessel," Zyra said, though even her voice held a trace of doubt. "Or a trap." They watched in silence as the human ship approached the border of their space. The aliens were skilled in war and conquest. They had faced opponents with superior firepower, with clever tactics, with cunning that could rival their own. Yet, there was something different about this human. Something about the way it moved made the entire crew pause. "Captain," another officer said, pointing to the display. "The ship is accelerating toward us. It has not slowed. It is coming here. Deliberately." Zyra's eyes narrowed. Deliberate. That was what unsettled her the most. Nothing in her experience had behaved so boldly, so confidently. "Prepare the defenses," she ordered. "I want full shields and combat protocols ready. This species may be primitive, but it is not careless. Something about it is unusual." As the Xeron shifted into defensive positions, the human ship crossed the threshold of their territory. It did not hesitate. It did not falter. And then, without warning, it disappeared from the sensors. The crew gasped. "How?" one of them asked. "It cannot vanish from our sensors. Our technology is the most advanced in this region." Zyra did not answer immediately. Her gaze stayed fixed on the empty space where the human had been. "Perhaps it is smaller than we thought. Or cleverer." Minutes passed. The tension on the command deck grew heavier with each second. Then, a faint signal appeared. A simple beacon, unmasked, almost daring. The human was not hiding. It was waiting. "That is impossible," whispered one crew member. "No one would enter Xeron space like this." Zyra took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Her mind raced, analyzing every possible scenario. "It is here," she said finally, her voice low and commanding. "And now we will see what it wants." The crew prepared the docking bay. Alien technicians worked quickly, running checks on energy fields, force barriers, and containment systems. Every measure was designed to contain, trap, or destroy the intruder if necessary. Zyra watched, her instincts telling her that brute force might not work this time. Something about this human felt different. Hours passed. The human ship did not communicate. It did not retreat. It simply hovered at the edge of the docking bay, waiting. The aliens, though patient by nature, grew restless. Zyra stepped forward, her voice cutting through the hum of machinery. "Open a channel," she commanded. "Let us speak with this human. Let it make its intentions clear." The channel opened, and a simple image appeared on the display. It was a human, tall, average build, wearing a plain suit designed for space travel. Unlike the aliens, the human showed no fear, no panic. Its eyes were calm, steady, and observant. For a moment, the crew held their collective breath. The human spoke in a clear, steady voice. "I am here to meet your leader. I have no desire for conflict, but I will not leave until I understand your purpose in this sector." A murmur ran through the alien crew. Bold, brazen, arrogant, even. No creature had ever spoken to them like this directly, confidently, without fear. Zyra leaned closer to the display. She studied the human, searching for weakness, for deception, for any hint of inferiority. But all she found was composure. It was unsettling. She had encountered species that relied on force, on intimidation, on clever tricks. But this human seemed unshakable. "Your species is small, fragile," Zyra said finally, her tone controlled but firm. "You should not be here. You do not understand the dangers of this region. You are reckless." The human smiled faintly, a small gesture that seemed to carry both humor and defiance. "Perhaps," it said, "but sometimes it is the unexpected that teaches the greatest lessons. I am here to learn, and perhaps to teach as well." The words were simple, but the meaning was profound. The alien crew exchanged uneasy glances. Some felt anger. Others felt confusion. No one had ever spoken to them this way. No one had ever challenged the authority of the Xeron without trembling. Zyra straightened, her mind sharpening with focus. "Very well," she said. "You will enter the docking bay. But know this, if you act against us, there will be no mercy. Do you understand?" The human inclined its head slightly. "I understand." The docking bay doors opened slowly, revealing the empty space beyond. The hum of the ship's engines filled the silence as the human vessel drifted inside. The crew watched every movement, every flicker of light, every vibration in the energy fields. The human ship was simple, yes, but its presence seemed to fill the vast bay. Then, as the human stepped out of the ship, Zyra felt an unexplainable shift in the air. The crew froze. The human walked steadily across the bay, unarmed in ways the aliens understood, yet entirely confident. Every step was deliberate, measured, calm. It was then that Zyra realized something profound. This was not a creature to be intimidated. Not by size, not by weapons, not by strategy. There was a fire in the human that defied prediction. A spark of something raw, yet brilliant. The human stopped at the center of the bay and turned to face the captain. "I am here," it said simply, "and I am ready to understand." The alien crew felt a silence descend, heavier than any vacuum in space. They had faced countless challenges. They had conquered worlds, outwitted species, and mastered galaxies. But in this moment, they felt uncertain, uneasy. Zyra's mind raced. This human was not just a visitor, not just a curiosity. It was a force unlike any she had encountered. And for the first time, she questioned everything she had believed about dominance, intelligence, and power. The moment the human entered the docking bay, the aliens knew something undeniable. The rules they had relied upon for centuries no longer applied. This human was not merely a small creature in a vast universe. It was something far greater, unpredictable, resilient, and extraordinary. And in that instant, the alien crew understood a truth that chilled them. They were no longer in control. Zyra took a deep breath, her eyes narrowing as she studied the human once more. She realized the challenge ahead would not be one of force alone. It would be a test of wits, of patience, of understanding, and perhaps it would teach them a lesson they could never have imagined. The human stood tall, calm, and composed, ready to face whatever came next. And the Ziran, mighty as it was, felt the first tremor of uncertainty ripple through its hull. The stage was set, a human had arrived. And in that moment, the aliens knew they were no longer the masters of this encounter. The humans stood at the center of the docking bay, the alien crew arrayed around them like statues, observing every motion. Silence hung thick in the air, broken only by the low hum of the Ziran's engines. The humans' calm presence seemed almost unnatural, a still point in the swirling tension of the alien ship. Captain Zyra stepped forward, her ridged head held high, eyes narrowing at the human. "You are bold," she said. Her voice carried the weight of authority, honed over countless years of command. "You enter the territory of the Ziran without fear. Do you not understand what you risk?" The human inclined their head slightly. "I understand the risks," they replied. Their voice was steady, clear, and carried a quiet confidence that seemed to unsettle the alien crew. "But I also understand that meeting you face to face is the only way to learn. I do not come to harm, but I will not retreat without understanding." A murmur ran through the aliens. They were used to fear. It was a tool, a weapon, an instinct. They expected it in every species, but not here. Not from this human. The human's courage, or perhaps something stronger than courage, was visible, tangible. It radiated quietly, like a flame that refused to be extinguished. Kyra studied them closely, searching for a weakness. She expected to find hesitation, nervousness, uncertainty, but found none. The human was deliberate, precise, and aware. Each movement was controlled, yet fluid. It was almost as if the human understood the alien crew better than the crew understood themselves. "Step forward," Zyra commanded. "Let me see that confidence for myself." The human walked forward, each step measured, careful, yet unafraid. The aliens instinctively tensed. Some shifted slightly, drawing subtle defensive positions. Though they knew no weapon could harm this human immediately, their confidence faltered. Something was happening here, something no training or protocol could prepare them for. "You have entered our territory," Zyra continued. "You are small, fragile, and alone. Why do you not flee? Why do you not fear us?" The human stopped a few meters from her, their eyes meeting hers. "Because I know fear is only useful if it guides action. I am here to understand, to observe, and to respond. I do not come to fight, but I do not run either. I meet challenges, even if they seem larger than me." A silence followed. The aliens were trained to think logically, mathematically, strategically. Yet this human's words carried a logic they could not calculate. The crew exchanged glances. Some whispered, some shook their heads slightly, but all were watching, wide-eyed. For the first time in centuries, the aliens realized that brute force might not be the answer. Zyra's mind raced. Her species had faced enormous threats before hostile planets, technologically superior adversaries, and even coordinated rebellions. Yet none had approached her so directly, with such composure. "You are clever," she said finally, "but cleverness alone will not protect you. Our technology, our strategies, our forces, these are unmatched in this galaxy. One wrong step, and you will be destroyed. The human's expression remained calm, even slightly amused. I understand, they said. But one wrong step does not define me. One wrong calculation does not define your ship either. We adapt. We learn. That is what separates us from what we cannot overcome. The crew shifted uneasily. Their advanced minds could not ignore the human's confidence, nor the truth in their words. It was unsettling, disturbing even. The human was not challenging them with weapons, or numbers, or brute force. The challenge was something far more difficult. The challenge of understanding, the challenge of unpredictability, the challenge of intelligence and resilience. Zyra gestured to the officers nearby. Open a containment protocol, she commanded. We will see if this human is truly as fragile as they appear. The aliens moved quickly, activating energy barriers and traps designed to test, restrain, or harm the intruder. Lasers hummed into position. Force fields flickered into existence. The room became a web of danger, calculated and precise. The human stepped lightly, almost dancing through the barriers. With each movement, they anticipated the traps before they activated fully. A laser missed by a fraction of an inch. A force field activated too late. The alien crew froze, stunned. This human, small, seemingly defenseless, was evading their most advanced systems with ease. Impossible, muttered one officer. Zyra's eyes narrowed. Perfection is only an illusion, she said softly. It seems this human is not limited by what we expect. They think differently, and that difference is dangerous. The human moved toward the central console, studying the alien systems with remarkable speed. They touched buttons, examined displays, and even adjusted settings, all without causing harm. It was as if they were learning the ship, predicting its movements, reading its intentions. The aliens had never encountered a mind that could interact with their technology so naturally, so intuitively. Stop them, Zyra commanded. The crew redoubled their efforts. Beams of energy aimed for precision. Mechanical arms moved to block passage. Advanced deterrents activated. Yet the human anticipated each attempt, dodging, adjusting, and adapting as if they had been trained for centuries to counter the aliens' every move. One officer whispered, almost in awe, "They are reading us. They are reading the ship." How? Zyra did not answer immediately. She felt a pang of unease she had never experienced before. The human was small, yes, but their ability to predict, adapt, and respond was extraordinary. No species she had faced had displayed this combination of intelligence, courage, and composure. The human was not just surviving. They were excelling, challenging, dominating in ways that were invisible, subtle, but undeniable. The human finally stopped, standing in the center of the docking bay once again. They faced the captain directly, unafraid, unyielding. "I have learned," they said simply. "I understand more about your ship, your crew, your systems than you expected. But I seek more than knowledge. I seek cooperation. I seek understanding, not conflict." The aliens hesitated. Cooperation? Understanding? Those were concepts alien to conquest, alien to domination, alien to the way they had ruled their territories for centuries. The crew exchanged uncertain looks. Some nodded, intrigued despite themselves. Others clenched fists, unwilling to admit the truth. Zyra stepped closer. She observed the human, noting every detail, the calm in their voice, the clarity in their eyes, the steady posture. She realized this human was not merely clever. They were brave, they were resilient, and they were unlike anything she had encountered. "Your species is bold," Zyra said finally. "Perhaps dangerously so. You are small, fragile, and yet unbroken. How do you possess such confidence? The human smiled faintly. Confidence is built through challenge. We are tested by obstacles larger than ourselves. And we adapt. We overcome. That is who we are. A ripple of admiration ran quietly through the crew. Zyra felt it too, though she did not allow it to show. The human was not only surviving, they were teaching, challenging, changing the perspective of every alien in the docking bay. For the first time, the aliens felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. Not fear, exactly, but doubt. Could a small, unarmed species truly be capable of matching, perhaps even surpassing, the mightiest beings in the galaxy? The answer, it seemed, was slowly revealing itself. Zyra's voice broke the silence. "Very well," she said. "We will allow you to remain aboard, under supervision." "I understand," the human replied calmly. "But I do not seek harm, only knowledge and understanding, and perhaps to show you that the unexpected can be a powerful teacher." The crew remained tense. They had seen countless species bow, flee, or surrender. None had walked into their ship unarmed, unafraid, and confident. This human was different, and Zyra realized the truth. Underestimating them would be a mistake she could not afford to make. As the docking bay doors closed behind them, a quiet hum filled the air. The aliens watched them closely, their curiosity growing, their confidence shaken. The stage was set. This was no ordinary encounter. This was the beginning of a test, a challenge, and perhaps a lesson the aliens would never forget. And somewhere deep in her chest, Captain Zyra felt a tremor she had never felt before. A recognition. A warning. The human was not just a visitor. They were a force. And the moment they entered the Xeron, the aliens knew they had met their match. The human had been aboard the Xeron for several hours now. Every movement, every glance, every action was observed by the alien crew. The docking bay, once filled with tension, had become a center of careful study. Zyra had instructed the crew to watch, to test, and to challenge the human, but nothing had gone as expected. The human walked through the corridors with purpose. They examined the technology, observing how panels glowed and machines hummed, how energy flowed through the ship's veins. Nothing intimidated them. Nothing seemed foreign, or at least, nothing stayed foreign for long. Zyra studied them carefully. "They are too quick to adapt," she said, her voice low, almost a whisper. "Every protocol we set, every challenge we devise, they handle with ease. How can one so small comprehend so much?" One officer, a young alien named Vryn, spoke up, hesitant. "Captain, they are not just adapting. They are predicting. Every test we have set, every trap we have placed, they navigate it before it even fully activates. It is as if they can see the outcome before it happens." Zyra nodded slowly. "Yes. That is the danger. We are accustomed to threats that we can calculate. This human defies calculation." The decision was made. The next step would be a formal challenge. The human would face the alien crew in a controlled test of skill, intelligence, and strategy. It would be a way to understand their capabilities, to see if they truly were as formidable as they seemed. The arena was prepared. A large chamber, circular and open, filled with shifting platforms, holographic projections, and energy barriers. The humans would have to navigate it, avoid hazards, and solve challenges designed to test both mind and body. The aliens watched from the upper levels, confident in their design. They had never seen a creature survive such a test without being at least partially disabled. The human entered the arena calmly. They looked around, noting the moving platforms, the glowing barriers, the shifting patterns of energy. Unlike most beings, They did not panic. They did not hesitate. They simply began, moving with precision, reading each hazard before it fully manifested. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. The first trap, a series of moving platforms over a simulated energy pit, was supposed to be impossible for a species without advanced jumping technology. The human stepped lightly, timing every movement perfectly, and crossed with ease. The next challenge, a complex puzzle of energy beams that would disable any intruder on contact activated. Beams shot across the room in unpredictable sequences, twisting and shifting faster than the eye could follow. The human paused for a brief moment, studying the pattern, and then moved. Step by step, twist by twist, they navigated the beams, anticipating every movement before it occurred. Vryn's jaw dropped. They are predicting it. How? Zyra remained calm outwardly, but inside, she felt a thrill of both fear and respect. "It is not magic," she said softly. "It is adaptation, observation, strategy. They see the system, understand it, and respond faster than anything we have ever trained for." The human reached the central platform. A holographic interface lit up, projecting a complex series of alien symbols and energy patterns. The task was simple in theory: deactivate the system without triggering alarms. But in practice, it required knowledge of alien systems that took years to master. The humans studied it carefully. Their fingers moved quickly, pressing sequences, adjusting energy flows, balancing pressures. Within moments, the holographic display confirmed success. The system had been deactivated, silently, without a single alarm triggered. The aliens were stunned. Murmurs ran through the upper levels. This human, without training in their technology, had solved a problem that took even the most advanced alien minds hours to complete. Zyra stepped forward, her voice carrying both authority and disbelief. "You have completed the challenge faster than we anticipated. You have surpassed the expectations of every calculation we made. How do you do this?" The human looked at her calmly. "I observe, I learn, and I adapt. I do not rely on fear or force. I rely on understanding. And sometimes, understanding is stronger than strength." A ripple of unease passed through the alien crew. They were warriors, strategists, conquerors. They relied on technology, on training, on calculations. But here was a creature that did not play by those rules. A creature that could see beyond their assumptions, beyond their methods, beyond their dominance. The final challenge was introduced: a coordinated simulation of combat, strategy, and tactical planning. The human would have to respond to attacks, anticipate movements, and neutralize threats, all while maintaining composure. It was designed to be overwhelming, impossible for any one being to handle alone. The simulation began. Holographic enemies appeared, weapons activated, and the environment shifted unpredictably. The human moved through it with uncanny precision, dodging, redirecting, and neutralizing attacks in ways that seemed almost intuitive. Zyra watched from above, heart pounding. Every time she expected the human to falter, they adjusted. Every time she calculated a step ahead, the human anticipated it. The aliens had built this simulation to test ingenuity, speed, and intelligence. And yet, the human navigated it flawlessly. Vryn shook his head. "Captain, they are extraordinary. I've never seen anything like this." Zyra did not respond immediately. She was watching, learning, analyzing. For centuries, she had been unmatched in strategy. But this human was teaching her something new, something she had never imagined possible. The human reached the center again. The simulation ended. The room fell silent. No alarms, no warnings, No errors. Nothing. The human had succeeded completely, and not by brute force, not by speed alone, but by a combination of observation, reasoning, and adaptability that even the Xeran could not match. The crew was quiet, almost reverent. They had expected a challenge, yes, but not this. Not a creature that could turn their own systems, their own strategies, against them with such ease. Zyra stepped into the arena herself. Her presence was commanding, her eyes sharp. She studied the human closely. "You are remarkable," she said. "No one has ever navigated our challenges like this. No one has ever approached our systems with such clarity." The human smiled faintly. "I do not seek to prove superiority," they said. "I seek to show what is possible when one does not fear the unknown. When one adapts, learns, and acts with purpose, even the impossible becomes possible." The aliens felt something unfamiliar stirring within them. Respect. For the first time, they saw the human not as a small, fragile being, but as a creature capable of extraordinary feats. Not because of strength, but because of intelligence, courage, and resilience. Zyra's mind raced. This is unlike anything we have faced. Every species we have encountered could be measured, predicted, controlled. But this human, we cannot predict them. We cannot control them, and yet they succeed. The human stepped forward. "I do not wish to dominate. I do not wish to destroy. But I will not be underestimated. And I hope that through understanding, we can learn from each other." A murmur ran through the crew. Some nodded slowly, beginning to comprehend the magnitude of what they had witnessed. Others remained silent, unsure, their assumptions challenged. Zyra took a deep breath. She realized something profound. The human was not merely surviving, they were teaching. They were challenging the assumptions of every alien aboard the Xeran. They were proving that strength alone, technology alone, and strategy alone were not enough. There was another factor at play: resilience, ingenuity, and the ability to adapt in ways no machine could replicate. For the first time, Zyra felt a flicker of doubt. Not fear, exactly, but a recognition that the human's presence had changed the dynamics of the ship. They had challenged not just the crew, but the very way the aliens thought about intelligence, strategy, and power. The human turned to leave the arena, calm and composed. The crew watched silently. The room felt different now. What had been a test, a challenge, and perhaps even a trap, had become a lesson. Zyra stepped forward, her mind clear. "You have succeeded beyond all expectations," she said. "But this is only the beginning. If you wish to remain aboard, you will face further challenges. And perhaps, in time, you will show us how a species so small can possess such strength." The human nodded. "I am ready," they said simply. "And I hope that through these challenges, we will both learn something new." The crew of the Xeran realized something undeniable. The human was not just clever or brave. They were extraordinary. They were unpredictable. And they had already begun to change the way the aliens thought about their place in the galaxy. Zyra's eyes softened slightly. "Very well," she said. "We will continue. But know this: you have entered our world, and every step you take will be observed, measured, and tested. Are you prepared for that?" "I am," the human replied, their voice calm and steady. "And I am ready for what comes next." The chamber fell silent. The challenges had been met, but the lessons had only just begun. The aliens had underestimated this species once. They would not underestimate them again. And for the human, every test was an opportunity to show that even the smallest, most unassuming creature could stand among the greatest in the galaxy, and perhaps even change them forever. The stage was set for the next encounter, a test of strategy, courage, and understanding that would push both the human and the aliens to their limits. And the moment the human had entered the Xeran, the aliens knew they were facing something they had never faced before, something they could not predict, and something they could not ignore. The human had spent nearly a full cycle aboard the Xeran, observing, learning, and moving through the ship with a calm precision that unsettled the crew. The corridors, once alive with the murmurs of confidence, now carried whispers of curiosity, awe, and unease. The human's presence was no longer a novelty. It was a challenge, a puzzle, and a lesson all at once. Captain Zyra paced her command deck, her eyes narrowed. She had watched the human navigate the arena, predict their systems, and outmaneuver every challenge without fear. Yet something deeper now stirred in her mind, a realization that intelligence, ingenuity, and adaptability could outweigh raw power. The human was not merely clever, they were transformative. "Vryn," Zyra said, her voice steady but sharp. "What do you make of their approach to our technology? Their movements? Their predictions?" Vryn hesitated. "Captain, it is unlike anything we have faced. They do not simply react. They anticipate. They learn faster than we can measure. I do not know if it is instinct, calculation, or something else entirely." Zyra sighed. "Perhaps it is all three." She turned, her gaze fixed on the central display. The human's ship had entered the main systems of the Xeran with a confidence no alien had ever dared. "It is time," she muttered to herself. "It is time I see this for myself." The human moved quietly through the lower levels, observing energy flows, mechanical systems, and crew routines. Nothing was wasted in their study. Every glance was thoughtful, every step deliberate. Though they appeared calm, their mind was calculating, mapping, and predicting the environment with uncanny accuracy. Zyra's voice echoed through the communication network. "Human," she said firmly. "Report to the command deck immediately. I will speak with you directly." A moment later, the human appeared in the central chamber of the command deck. Their calm demeanor remained unchanged, their gaze meeting Zyra's without hesitation. The crew, gathered around, watched in silence. This was not simply a meeting. It was a confrontation, a test of intellect, and a negotiation of presence. "You have accomplished much aboard my ship," Zyra began. "You have moved through our systems with skill and speed. You have navigated challenges that are designed to confound even the most advanced of our species. Yet, there is a question that remains. Why? Why risk yourself in a territory you cannot dominate by strength?" The human's voice was calm, steady, yet carried a quiet authority. "Because understanding is stronger than fear. Knowledge is stronger than intimidation. And sometimes, the greatest victories come not from force, but from insight and adaptability. I do not seek to dominate. I seek to learn, and to teach where I can." Zyra's eyes narrowed. "Teach? You speak of teaching a species that has mastered the stars. What can a creature like you possibly teach us?" The human took a slow step forward. "I do not claim to be superior in strength or technology, but I am not defined by size or tools. I am defined by my ability to adapt, to observe, and to act in ways others do not expect. That is something even the most powerful can learn from." The command deck was silent. The alien crew had faced countless species, many of them fierce and cunning. Yet never had they seen a creature that wielded intelligence and courage in such a precise, deliberate way. The human's calm confidence challenged assumptions, rules, and even centuries of strategy. Zyra leaned closer. "You have navigated our challenges. You have anticipated systems we thought unpredictable. And yet, you have done so without harming a single member of my crew. Why not use your skill to destroy or dominate. The humans shook their head. Because that is not the way to truly prove strength. True power is shown through control of oneself, understanding of others, and the ability to create solutions without causing unnecessary harm. I am here to demonstrate that even the smallest being, using knowledge and adaptability, can influence the greatest forces. For a moment, Zyra studied them in silence. Every instinct told her to challenge, to trap, to test further. But something deeper told her that conventional methods would fail. This human was unlike anything the Ziran had encountered. They were unpredictable, ingenious, and remarkably composed. Vreen stepped forward cautiously. Captain, perhaps we underestimate them because we do not understand them. Their strength is not physical. It is strategic, almost philosophical. Zyra nodded slowly. Yes, and that is what makes them dangerous. She turned back to the human. You have already bested our systems, learned our challenges, and demonstrated skills that rival even our finest strategists. But I will not be bested so easily. There is one final test. Represents. The human's gaze remained steady. I am ready. The test was set. The alien crew activated a series of challenges designed to combine physical agility, technological mastery, and tactical planning. Holographic enemies appeared. Energy fields shifted unpredictably, and the environment changed continuously. Every trap, every hazard, was synchronized to overwhelm the human at any moment. Yet the human moved with calm precision. They dodged, adapted, and redirected energy flows with exacting skill. Each sequence was met with thoughtful calculation, anticipating the alien systems before they fully acted. Where others would panic or hesitate, the human advanced. Where others would fail, they succeeded. Zyra watched from above, heart pounding. Every expectation she had made, every prediction she had calculated, fell short. The human was not only surviving, they were excelling, demonstrating ingenuity that challenged the very logic of the Ziran systems. Impossible, muttered one officer. No being should be able to do this. Zyra's voice was calm, but her mind raced. They are not limited by fear. They are not constrained by assumptions. They see the system and bend it to their understanding. That is their power. The human reached the central console of the challenge arena. Holographic interfaces lit up. Complex alien symbols and energy sequences glowing brightly. The task was to disable or reroute multiple systems simultaneously, a feat that even experienced alien officers struggled to manage. The humans studied the systems carefully. With deliberate movements, they adjusted energy flows, synchronized sequences, and neutralized threats without triggering a single alarm. Within moments, the task was complete. The chamber fell silent. The crew was stunned. The human had not only survived the challenge, but had done so flawlessly, without error. It was a performance that defied expectation, logic, and centuries of alien experience. Zyra stepped into the chamber, her eyes sharp and assessing. You have done what I thought impossible, she said. You have navigated our challenges, anticipated our systems, and completed tasks designed to confound the greatest minds aboard this ship. How do you possess such skill? The human smiled faintly. I observe, I learn, and I adapt. I do not rely on fear, force, or assumption. I rely on understanding, patience, and careful reasoning. That is how I succeed. See. A hush fell over the crew. They were warriors, strategists, and masters of the galaxy. Yet here stood a human, a small, unarmed, and seemingly fragile being who had demonstrated mastery in ways they could barely comprehend. Zyra felt a chill of realization. The human had not simply completed the tests, they had redefined the rules. Every assumption about strength, power, and dominance had been challenged. The crew could no longer rely on conventional thinking. They were being forced to reconsider the very nature of intelligence and resilience. The humans stepped closer to Zyra. "I do not seek to destroy or dominate," they said. "I seek to show that even the smallest and seemingly weakest among us can face the greatest challenges if we use knowledge, courage, and adaptability." Zyra regarded them in silence. For centuries, she had relied on calculation, strength, and strategy to maintain control. But in this human, she saw a force that could not be measured, predicted, or controlled by conventional means. "You are extraordinary," she said finally. "No one aboard this ship has ever faced a creature like you. You have challenged not only my systems but my understanding of what is possible. I underestimated you. That was my first mistake." The human nodded. "Underestimation is a common error," they said, "but it can also be a lesson. I hope that through this, you will learn something new, not about defeat, but about potential." A quiet respect passed through the alien crew. They had seen the human navigate impossible challenges, anticipate systems, and demonstrate intelligence and courage that rivaled the greatest among them. The moment had arrived when fear and doubt mingled with admiration. Zyra took a deep breath. "Very well. You have passed the ultimate test not by force, not by speed, but by intellect, courage, and adaptability. From this moment forward, your presence aboard the Zyran will no longer be considered a threat. You are remarkable." The human's calm smile did not waver. "Thank you. I hope we can continue to learn from one another." The command deck was quiet. The alien crew realized something profound. They had underestimated humanity, a species they had assumed small, weak, and unremarkable. Yet in the span of a few hours, this human had redefined what it meant to face a challenge, to adapt, and to excel. Zyra stepped back, her mind alive with thought. The human had not simply survived, they had transformed the perception of the entire ship. Every officer, every crew member, now saw the human as more than a visitor. They were a force, a teacher, and a symbol of what was possible when courage and intelligence are combined. And as the human turned to leave the arena, calm and poised, Zyra realized a truth she could not ignore. The moment this human entered the Zyran, the aliens were no longer the masters of the encounter. They were learners. The galaxy, she knew, had shifted. And the human had done it with nothing more than presence, intelligence, and unshakable resolve. The alien crew of the Zyran moved quietly through the corridors. The ship, once filled with tension and certainty, now hummed with a strange mixture of curiosity and reflection. For the first time in generations, the crew had witnessed something beyond their calculations, beyond their assumptions, beyond their understanding. The human, small and unarmed, had changed everything. Captain Zyra stood on the command deck, gazing at the stars beyond the ship's viewing window. Her mind replayed every moment. The humans' calm entry, their flawless navigation of the arena, their uncanny anticipation of systems, and the intelligence that had turned even the most carefully designed challenges into opportunities for learning. Vreen approached cautiously. "Captain, they are unlike anything we have faced. Their courage, their adaptability, it is extraordinary. I do not know how to measure it." Zyra's eyes narrowed. "We cannot measure it because it does not conform to our understanding. We rely on calculations, predictions, and assumptions. But they operate outside all of that. They think differently, act differently, and succeed where we expect failure. That is their strength." The human had requested a meeting with the captain. They were not a guest in the usual sense. They were a presence that demanded recognition, understanding, and respect. Zyra adjusted the viewing platform, activating the communication channel. The human appeared, standing confidently in the chamber. Their expression was calm, almost serene, yet their eyes held the sharp intelligence that had unnerved the aliens from the start. "Captain Zyra," they said, "I have observed your crew, your systems, and your methods. I have learned much, and I hope, in turn, I have shown what is possible when courage, knowledge, and adaptability are combined." Zyra regarded them carefully. "You have done more than that," she said. "You have challenged us in ways we did not expect. You have proven that strength alone is not enough. That intelligence alone is not enough. Even the most advanced systems can be outwitted by creativity and resolve. You have taught us a lesson we did not know we needed." The human nodded slightly. "That was never my goal. I do not seek to dominate, nor to humiliate. I only wish to show that no being should be underestimated, and that understanding can be a greater power than any weapon." The command deck was silent. The crew, standing behind the captain, exchanged looks of quiet wonder. Many of them had once believed humans were weak, fragile, and unremarkable. Now, they understood that this human represented something far greater than their size suggested. Zyra gestured for the human to join her on the bridge. They moved gracefully, stepping lightly across the platform, calm and composed. "Tell me," she said, "what drives your species? What makes humans so unyielding?" The human paused, choosing words carefully. "We are small in comparison to the galaxy, yes. We lack the advanced technology and strength of many species. But we are curious. We are persistent. We learn from mistakes, adapt to challenges, and refuse to give up. We do not rely solely on power. We rely on each other, on intelligence, and on courage. That is what makes us resilient." Zyra studied them, her mind turning over every word. She had faced countless challenges, controlled entire fleets, and conquered worlds. Yet she felt, for the first time, that her understanding of power had shifted. This human was proof that courage and intelligence could rival even the most advanced technology. "You have already surpassed expectations," she said. "You have not only met our challenges, you have shown us that assumptions can be dangerous, that underestimating even a small being can be a critical mistake. That lesson will not be forgotten aboard the Zyran." The human smiled faintly. "I do not seek glory or recognition. I only hope that in showing what is possible, we can create mutual understanding and respect." Zyra nodded. "Mutual understanding? Yes. That is something we have seldom experienced. Your presence has changed the way we see ourselves and the galaxy. You have taught us that even the smallest can influence the greatest." The alien crew listened quietly, absorbing the moment. For generations, they had relied on strength, calculation, and domination. And yet, this human had accomplished more through intelligence, courage, and calm determination than they had ever expected. The lesson was clear. Power was not measured solely by force, but also by adaptability, insight, and the willingness to confront challenges without fear. Vryn, who had observed the human most closely, stepped forward. "Captain, they are remarkable. They have done what no one aboard could have imagined. We owe them more than respect. We owe them recognition of their strength, even if it is not the type we usually measure." Zyra turned her gaze back to the human. "You have earned that recognition. Your courage, intelligence, and adaptability have changed the way we think. You have shown us that strength is not only physical, but also mental and moral." The human inclined their head slightly. "Thank you. I hope that by sharing these lessons, we can avoid unnecessary conflict and foster understanding instead. That is the greatest victory of all." Zyra's eyes softened. "Indeed, It seems your species has more to teach us than we could have imagined. And for that, you have my respect and the respect of every crew member aboard the Ziran. The alien crew, for the first time, saw the human not as a visitor, not as a curiosity, but as a being worthy of admiration. They had watched the human navigate impossible challenges, anticipate systems, and demonstrate intellect and courage beyond expectation. They understood that the human had not only survived, they had changed their perspective, their assumptions, and perhaps even their understanding of power. The human took a step back, their presence calm and unassuming. Respect is mutual, they said. I have learned from your species as well. Your ingenuity, discipline, and structure are remarkable. The galaxy is vast, and every species has lessons to share. I hope we can continue to learn from each other. Zyra nodded slowly. Yes, we will continue. You have shown us that no species should be underestimated, and that even the smallest, most unassuming being can influence the greatest forces. That lesson will remain with us forever. The humans' calm confidence, combined with their intelligence and adaptability, had done more than survive the challenges of the Ziran. It had created a bridge between two species. One built not on fear or domination, but on understanding, respect, and the recognition of potential. For the first time, Zyra felt something she had never felt in her long career. Humility. Not weakness, but humility, in the face of intelligence, courage, and resilience that defied prediction. The human had reminded her that even the greatest could learn from the smallest, and that strength came in many forms. The human turned to leave the bridge, their mission complete for now. The crew watched quietly, their thoughts filled with reflection. The lesson was clear. Power was not always measured in numbers, weapons, or fleets. It was measured in adaptability, intelligence, courage, and the willingness to face challenges without fear. Vryn spoke softly. Captain, we were wrong to underestimate them. They have proven that even the smallest can change the course of events, and even the weakest can teach the strongest. Zyra nodded. Yes, Vryn, and we must carry this lesson forward. Underestimating anyone, any species, or any force in the galaxy is a mistake we cannot afford to repeat. The human paused at the exit, glancing back at the captain and crew. I hope that my presence has shown that respect, understanding, and courage are as powerful as any weapon. The galaxy is vast, and there is much to learn. May we face it together, not as conquerors, but as learners and allies. With that, they stepped through the doorway, leaving the command deck calm and reflective. The aliens remained silent, their minds alive with the realization that the galaxy had shifted, not through war or force, but through intelligence, courage, and the remarkable presence of a single human. Zyra turned to her crew. Remember this moment, she said. A human has entered our ship, and in doing so, has changed the way we see ourselves and our place in the galaxy. Respect is not given lightly, and strength is not only measured in weapons or numbers. Today, we have learned the true power of adaptability, intelligence, and courage. The crew nodded, their respect for the human evident in every glance. They had witnessed history, the moment when a species they had considered small, fragile, and unremarkable had demonstrated extraordinary capability, reshaping their understanding of the galaxy and themselves. Zyra took a deep breath, gazing out at the stars. The human had not only survived, they had succeeded in teaching a lesson that would resonate across the Ziran and beyond. The aliens, once arrogant in their mastery, now understood the value of humility, observation, and learning from unexpected sources. In the vastness of space, A single human had entered a ship of the galaxy's greatest conquerors and changed everything. The moment was quiet, profound, and irreversible. The lesson was clear. Underestimating humanity was the first mistake the aliens had ever made, and likely the last. And as the stars stretched endlessly outside the hull of the Xeran, a new chapter began. One of understanding, respect, and the undeniable recognition that even the smallest, most unassuming species could shape the course of the galaxy. The human had arrived. And in their presence, the aliens had learned something that would stay with them forever. Strength comes in many forms, and sometimes the most extraordinary force in the universe is not the one with the greatest weapons, but the one with courage, intelligence, and an unyielding spirit. The galaxy had changed in the moment a human entered, and the Xeran, once confident, proud, and certain, would never forget it.